sex on average, penis to vagina penetration lasts 5 to 7 minutes, but that doesn't include foreplay, aftercare, like emotional intimacy buildings. But again, this is dependent on so many different things, so it could be hours.
On today's conversation, we're joined by Ashlyn, a psychotherapist specialized in sex therapy.
It's real, it's unfiltered, and it's about time we talk about sex like grown-ups. I have some friends that don't like giving head.
I think it's really normal that people have different preferences, but like be genuinely curious. Like, what is happening for you during this? And then sex is creative, sex is playful.
When they get soft halfway through, what does that mean? Do you keep trying or do you just stop?
Okay, I really want to normalize this.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Tall Blonde. All right, before we dive in, just a quick note. This episode features therapeutic conversation, but it's not therapy, and it doesn't replace therapy. Nothing shared here is meant to be substituted for professional mental health care or any therapeutic relationship. If anything comes up for you while you're listening emotionally, mentally, feel free to take what resonates and leave the rest. We're just sharing thoughts, experiences, and ideas, not giving you personalized therapeutic advice. If you're struggling or in need, please reach out to a licensed mental health professional who can walk you in a way that's safe and tailored to you. Now, let's get straight into it. Welcome back to Tall Blonde. Today's episode is not safe for work, or is it? I'm joined today by Toronto-based psychotherapist who is specialized in sex therapy, Ashlyn Marie James, and we're answering all of your burning questions that you guys wrote in. From why do I keep catching feelings after hooking up to how do I even ask for what I want in the bedroom? It's real, it's unfiltered, and it's about time we talk about sex like grown-ups. Let's get into it. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
This is your first podcast.
Yeah.
But needed, right?
Needed.
Yeah. People need to know these answers. And like I told you a little bit earlier, I get so many questions, obviously, emails and DMs, and this is where all these are compiled from. But a lot of them are about sex. A lot of them about partners and things that happened, sometimes story times, and they get really descriptive.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily know how to answer them. So why not get a professional to answer them with me? And you provide sex therapy virtually, correct?
Yes.
On your platform?
Yeah, so I'm a registered psychotherapist specializing in sex therapy, and I work with sex therapy individually and with couples.
And how did you get into it?
So I started my practicum with sex therapy, and then I was just like fascinated. I like dove into the research. My undergrad was like, I was working for someone who was in sex therapy too.
Oh, nice.
So it was like sprinkled throughout my whole life. And I grew up in like a very like sex positive household. So
which is rare.
Yeah.
I think nowadays.
Definitely rare. I come from like a South Asian background. So it was like mixed messaging. Some of it was like, sex positive. Some of it wasn't. And I had to do the work to dismantle that. So it just kind of came from there. And then I dove into the research. The research is like just coming out now. Mm-hmm. There's like a lot of cool stuff happening. So I just like dove right in.
Mm-hmm. And for sex therapy, I didn't do much research on like actually, if you specialize in certain kinds of sex therapy, because the questions that I got in, I sent them to you beforehand, the general questions, male pleasures, orgasms, birth control, relationship questions, like we're hitting on all those, but I guess they're different parts of sex therapy. Is it more so like you kind of work with people in different areas, or I guess with sex, like you could go through all of the above, right?
Yeah.
Like what's that like?
So I would definitely, if you're looking for sex therapy, like find someone who works within the scope that you're looking. So essentially, like people who specialize in sex therapy are trained to work with like a lot of different things, like women, men, couples, queer, like the whole like plethora of things that come with sex therapy. But I mean, if you're looking for something like specific, I would reach out to someone specific. But all the questions that you talked about are things that I've been trained to work with.
I mean, there are one or two that I added in, but I won't say which one they were. But I mean, like a lot of people say it's an uncomfortable conversation, but like you said, well, I guess
you grew up in a sex positive household, but it's an uncomfortable conversation for, I guess, anyone, but also especially uncomfortable for people that were raised without even speaking about it with parents, friends, whatever. And I think, I mean, I never talked about it with my parents. I had the whole talk of like birth control and like be safe during sex, but never felt open about it until like growing up and talking about it with my friends. And I feel like that's pretty common.
Very common.
And I feel like some of the questions that these like people have written in are like, you know, best friend chats, like a group chat thing that you'd write in, but some people just aren't comfortable to say it.
No, that comes in often in session where like girls get together and talk and they're like, okay, let's bring this in. You know, I feel like there's so much healing done in the community of like friendship that where it comes in.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a group chat conversation coming to life here.
Yeah.
So I'll just start off with the first kind of general questions and we can kind of dig into it.
Let's go.
So the first one I got how long should sex last?
Okay.
And obviously this is very broad.
Yeah, very broad, but it's not a like a one size fits all type of answer. So if you're looking for like statistics, sex on average, penis to vagina penetration lasts 5 to 7 minutes, but that doesn't include like foreplay, aftercare, like emotional, like intimacy building. So in general, like the rough average is like 20 to 25 minutes, but again, this is dependent on so many different things, so it could be hours.
Yeah, but like you said, so 5 to 7 is normal, like penetration. Okay.
Yeah.
So some people shouldn't feel as bad. They're like, oh, like I was quick, and I mean, it was within the 5 to 7.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a woman, you need the foreplay to enjoy. Like you can't just get off in 5 to 7 minutes.
Yeah. No, foreplay is important, and pleasure during intimacy is really important because that's going to make you want to, you know, continue coming back.
And a lot of people ask the question, I'm kind of skipping here, but because we're on the topic of talking about pleasures and like what people like, do you get a lot of questions from clients asking about how do I bring it up or how do I start the conversation with my significant other or the person that maybe it's a situationship, maybe it's just a one night stand, as to what they like?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. I think it is sometimes uncomfortable to have these conversations.
Like, how do I say it? When do I say it? Is it weird if I just bring it up while we're in the midst of it?
Yeah, and those feelings are normal and you're going to feel them. I think bringing it up, first of all, don't bring it up in like an argument. Bring it up in like a calm, grounded space. And talk about it with like curiosity. The more you talk about intimacy, it's actually proven that you will have more like sexual satisfaction in like a relationship or even with self. So like talking about it is such an important part of the process.
So instead of saying like that was horrible, I didn't even enjoy that, saying, oh well, like what would you have liked? And or like what did you like about that go around or whatever?
Yeah.
So I guess like you said, don't be angry, don't pick a fight about it, but just make it an open conversation.
Yeah. Get curious. Like, what do you like? What do you not like? What do you want more of?
And normally when you ask a question of what they like, then they'll bring it back to you.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. What does it mean when you suddenly never want to have sex with the man you're dating?
That's a good question. And I think something that like comes up like often in a sense of,
and I guess it could go both ways.
Totally. But for everyone, I think like recognizing desire and recognizing like arousal and connection is biopsychosocial. So like what's going on for you? Are you stressed? Like what's going on for you individually? Did something like shift? What happened in the relationship? Did like something shift in the relationship for you? How are you feeling in your body with this person? Like, does it feel safe? Does it feel like, has anything shifted in those three realms? And I think that's like a good place to start.
So like kind of just digging into, okay, yes, it might be maybe the person gained weight or maybe you're just, you know, suddenly getting less attracted to them or maybe you're just not attracted with how you are feeling or looking to even put yourself into that. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, like I think looking at fact, but when she says or they say suddenly, I'm thinking something shifted like quick, you know, and I think that's normal, just like analyzing and like sitting with what was that.
Or I mean sometimes feminine is an example of how this one wasn't my question, but if like sometimes I've been kind of like gotten the ick from my partner, not forever, but just if like they're pissing me off or if they're doing something that's I'm like, ugh, that's not maybe manly or something. And I'm like, ugh, like I don't really feel the lust and attraction as much as I did.
Yeah.
But that's like periodically, like it would go away.
Yeah. And then normalizing, like, that's an ebb and flow that's going to come within a relationship, within like a conversation, right?
And it's, I
Normal.
guess, is that something that you should be talking about, or is that just like, okay?
I think analyzing is just like a one-time analyzing impact, right? Because ebbs and flows are natural within a relationship. But if this is continually like coming up for you, then I think like having a conversation is a really important aspect of that.
How do you even bring that up though? Like, what do
You have to give me an example.
like if I was just suddenly unattracted to my boyfriend, let's say we were in it for 3 years.
Yeah.
And we're just like, ugh, I'm not really feeling it. And it goes months with me not really feeling it. And now I'm wanting to do anything. How would let's say I'm stressed, but nothing's changed with him.
Okay, nothing's changed with him. So it's been 3 years. I think with this, that's pretty specific. So I'm thinking of like therapy and I'm thinking of like asking a lot of like prompting questions. I mean, I think getting support too to like really understand what is going on for you. Like, is it something with self? Is it something with the relationship? Did this come on suddenly or has it been building? Like, I think these are all questions that you can work with.
Which is crazy because I wrote these down and everything you're saying makes so much sense. I just wouldn't have known it if it wasn't for you to say it. Like what you're saying of, okay, what's happening in your life? Like I wouldn't have said I was stressed. I would just think, oh, like I'm not attracted to my boyfriend right now. But it is something deeper than that in you, or, something might be changing and you have to kind of figure that out. It's just like any other type of therapy, right? Like you have to figure out, okay, I hate when someone raises their arms. Okay, maybe that is because a trauma in the past or whatever that may be. Like it's really doing the background research.
Yeah. And noting if it's from like current experience or past situations or like,
because I would have said if someone asked me this, I'd have been like, well, you're probably just losing interest in them. But I guess it's so much more than that. It could be that.
Yeah.
It's not just that. But I was like trying to answer them. You know when you're writing down a question and you're answering it in your head? That was what I was doing for all of these. So it's very enlightening to hear your answers compared to mine. Next question is, my boyfriend was messaging another girl. Only one that I know of, but I'm 5 months pregnant. What would you do? Why is he doing this?
That one like hurts my heart. Yeah, that one.
She's pregnant.
Yeah, that one like hits the soul.
And obviously, I mean, no offense, but when she said only one that I know of. Like normally when it's one, it could be more.
I think slowing down in this and obviously like talking to him, like seeing what everything is about.
Yeah.
Like what is the conversation like ask the question. When I think betrayal happens, I think urgency and like fight or flight can take hold. So I would tell this person, like, acknowledge that the feelings are valid, but also like sit and talk to your partner, see what it's about for him. Again, it could be not that it excuses anything, but it could be like life transitions or like stress and like it could be so many different things. And like seek support. I mean you're 5 months pregnant, like,
and you don't need that stress in your life. Like that's not good for the baby.
Yeah. Seek support. Find like whether it's like community support or like a therapist, like because that's difficult to navigate.
So there isn't like one reason as to obviously why he'd be doing that. Like it wouldn't be because she's pregnant and maybe he doesn't want to have.
No, I don't think you can draw any correlations. I think that's more about him, right? Like it's about his, like, whatever it's attachment trauma,
And like men cheat for so many different reasons that I think communication is key, but it's all about, okay, it's great to communicate and pick yourself up and be able to have that conversation because that's hard too for her, even like pregnant or not. That's tough to be cheated on or know that. Well, I guess we don't know if he said my boyfriend's messaging another girl, so we don't know if the deed has been done. But even to be betrayed in any way, shape, or form really sucks. But to have that conversation is hard. And on top of that, there's so many reasons why people seek other attention. But like, will he even tell the truth? I guess that's for you to find out.
Yeah, for her to like sit in and sit with. I think like really ground to herself in this moment, right? Because like that's a tough scenario.
Very tough.
Yeah.
No girl should ever have to go through that, especially pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess she has to remember that it says more about him than it does about her for him to see elsewhere when in a relationship. But I guess it's like, talk to people, be there for yourself, give yourself grace. Like, you're not in a rush to make any decisions.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell them right away that you saw this message.
No.
Like, think about it, talk to someone that you know can be private, seek therapy, whatever it is that you may think, and take it slow is what I would kind of.
I agree.
Is once a cheater, always a cheater? Great that this happened right after the cheating things. I could talk about cheaters all day, but is once a cheater, always a cheater true when it comes to sex?
No. Like, just statement no.
Really?
Yes. Because, I mean, I think that statement in itself, like, validate that cheating is difficult and hard, and I've been cheated on, and, like, I can completely connect to the statement, but it is maybe a form of protection, right? Like, if you're assuming that, okay, once a cheater, always a cheater, like, protecting yourself. So, like, I completely get it, but I think acknowledging a person's process, right? If someone cheats and they're not taking accountability, they're not like doing their own work, they're not doing their own healing, they're not acknowledging their own patterns, they're not acknowledging like what caused them and how they would cope in the future, and like communicating with their partner and like taking accountability for the hurt, then like
What's the aftermath?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, are you actually doing every single thing that you said, taking accountability, working on it, talking about it, explaining as to why you did what you did, and like being honest and admitting to it?
Yeah.
Some people
don't
live their whole life without admitting to it.
Yeah. And I think that's when you acknowledge that, like, you know, this person isn't taking accountability, and like you have to recognize cycles and patterns
and have respect to yourself to know, okay, maybe this isn't the best spot for me. And it's so tricky because now in our age, I feel like so many people do cheat, and I don't know if that's because I'm just in a spot where I talk about dating all the time and I hear about it because girls come to me with that, or if it's just more so happening now because of social media or because of, you know, the access to, you could even like FaceTime someone and have FaceTime sex. Like, it's, or just emotionally cheat through text. Like, there's so many different kinds now. So I don't know if it's more of an issue or if it's just coming to light.
I don't know either. I don't know. I think I don't know.
I hope it's just because Kaylin, the midst of it, and goes back to me and they're like, help, and I'm like, oh, another one. Add that to the list. How do you know if I'm truly attracted to my partner or it's just comfort?
I think that's a really good question. It's like I would have to know more because like it's a pretty like broad question.
It is very broad.
But I think like in general, let's just like zoom out and maybe talk about like lust at the beginning of a relationship and like that limerence phase and that like excitement and like attraction and like
fun, excited,
it's like quick, exactly. That, and then like in a long term, right, it becomes more comfort, like support, acceptance, all of those things. So I think connecting to, it's supposed to feel comfortable, right? You're supposed to feel the comfort. You're supposed to have comfort in it. And I mean, I would also seek support with this question too, because I think it's a lot more complex than I can answer on here, obviously. But I think looking at, is that comfort, like, do you feel like numbed out by it for a sustained amount of time, right? Because ebbs and flows happen in relationships.
What do you mean when you say numbed out by it?
I mean, like, do you feel like you're just kind of going through the motions? Do you feel like disassociated and disconnected from him and like the space, and like you're just like here present but like numb?
I get what you're saying.
Or are you like comfortable and acknowledging that this is like an ebb and flow, and like maybe the comfort is like bringing you peace, maybe it's bringing you boredom, but like it's also, it's not like numbing you, like keeping you away from your present.
Yeah. And I think some people are just more hyper aware of every feeling that they have, but some people are also like, okay, you're having this question and you're writing it in because you clearly know maybe in your gut that something is changing.
Yeah. I
Right?
think like following that intuition too.
A
Like,
girl's intuition is
it is.
crazy.
It is.
We know everything before it even happens.
Mhm.
Like, God, I have so many examples of that. What's the difference between love and lust? Okay, this is a great question. Follow-up question.
Okay, so lust, it's different hormones, first of all, that are being like produced in a relationship. So when I say that limerence phase of a relationship, around like 1 to 3 months, it is lust. It's different hormones. It's testosterone, it's dopamine, it's quick, it's fast, it's urgent. It actually mimics the place the reward center cocaine activates in your brain.
Okay.
So it's like it can feel like obsessive. That's lust.
Okay.
Love
Like
is
you need it.
Yeah, you need
You
it.
want more of it.
You want
Okay.
more of it. You're obsessed with it. Like
Addiction.
it's everything. Love is a lot slower, and it's when bonding hormones are being released. So like
Okay.
oxytocin is being released, and it's like slow. It's less urgent. It's more accepting. It's gentle. It's warm. And like that's kind of hard to explain, but
Feels like home.
yeah.
So is it like an opposite of like you can't have love if you're in lust, or is it like you can fall in love after the lust? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you
Can you have can you have both, or is it just one or the other?
No, you can have both. Like you can definitely be in love and have like moments of lust, and also that like transition stage of like lust maybe mixed with like love, this person supporting me and accepting me and like feels like calm. Like you can definitely have a mix.
And then what would it feel like or like look like if it were just lust, no love?
It would feel different for everyone, but it would, like in general it'd be like obsessive. Like it would be like urgent and obsessive
Love
and like
bombing?
quick. Well, what lust is too, it's usually like a projection of what you think a person is or what you think a person would be within a relationship.
Like the daydreaming that before you really get to know someone.
Yeah. And then you get like obsessed with this like projection. And then love is like you start to know the person, you start to know like their flaws and like accept like different things. And that's kind of the difference.
See them in a bad spot and you're still there for them. You're not just picking up and leaving.
Yeah.
When I thought of it, I was like, okay, I guess lust is more so of like they just want, it's like the love bombing effect, kind of like they want you and they want you and then they have you and then they had their fun and then they leave. But I guess that could be someone lust, but it's also maybe just how or what someone wanted.
I think that comes to like attachment too, because like what kind of attachment does this person have? I think lust can look different for like different levels of attachment.
And is that something like you work on in therapy? Like how would someone that says, okay, like I can't fall in love or I've never been in a relationship, I just like lust over these women, like what would you say to them or how would you kind of work through that?
I think I would like just in general zooming out, it would be like more avoidant attachment, and you would look at like that kind of lone wolf mentality or like the fear of vulnerability or the feel of being like, you know, really connected to this person and relying on a person. Like that's definitely what you do in therapy too.
Yeah, like what's holding you back from being vulnerable? What's holding you back from doing the other things and not just the physical with someone you're talking to or in your life?
Yeah.
I need to send my ex-boyfriend to you. All of my exes to you. How can I deal with performance anxiety in the bedroom? Who do you think wrote this in, a woman or a man?
I don't know. I think it could be really either.
Really?
Because
I feel like women have a lot more performance anxiety, or I could be wrong.
No, I think it's I actually don't. I have no idea, but you definitely see it in
For both ends.
Both ends. I think it shows up a little bit differently. So I think with women, they're not present in the moment, right? They're not focusing on the pleasure. They're focusing on how their body looks, like what's going on. And
does he like this?
Yeah, does he like this? Does he not? Like all these questions are like popping up, which is taking them, first of all, it's causing a little bit of stress, which is taking away from pleasure. And
can the other person sense that?
I don't know. I think it depends. I think some people are like really good at hiding it. But I think also in a long-term relationship, someone's gonna sense it, right? Like someone's gonna know if it's happening. But to like work through that, first of all, I think focusing on pleasure versus performance is really important because like once you focus on performance, your mind is like grounding into like all these
Like
different
your own pleasure?
yeah, your own pleasure. You can also like focus on mindfulness is really helpful in this, like coming back to the present moment, whether you want to focus on the pleasure or like the texture of your partner's skin or like the warmth, or if you're like ignited by senses, maybe you want to like light a strong scent or like make the lighting or put on a good playlist. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So kind of like grounding yourself, like, I mean, in life coaching, we do like breath work or step outside and do a certain whatever, or like lay down. So I guess just in a different way when you're doing it or you're like having sex with someone, to go back into that present moment, it could be
Yeah.
different, whether it's
Yeah.
a touch or the comfort or I mean, like I always say to people, they're like, oh, like what should I wear? I feel like they're trying to impress someone or whatever. I'm like, wear what you feel comfortable in.
Yeah.
Because if you're checking yourself in on the mirror and this and that, and you're scared as to if it doesn't look good on you from a certain angle, you're not going to be having fun.
Yeah.
So exactly what you said was like, be comfortable in who you are and like kind of set the tone so that that place that you're in is comfort, whether it's music,
Yeah.
whether it's a candle, like you said.
Yeah.
I love that. I never thought about it that way.
And you may want to rewrite any like negative beliefs that are pulling you out of them, like rewrite it beforehand into, okay, no, I'm like having this for like my own pleasure or connection, or like kind of like reground into why you're having.
As much as
Yeah.
is for them, it's for me too. I love that. That was like beautifully answered.
Thanks.
Male's pleasures. This is someone that wrote in from his perspective. My girl doesn't like giving head. What do I do?
Like,
and I have some friends that don't like giving head.
Yeah. I think it's really normal that people have different sexual palettes, right? Like people have different preferences, and I think it's really important to be like curious and understand what that's about for her in particular. Like, is it about the experience itself? Does she feel disconnected from it? Is it like because of a past experience? Like, is it uncomfortable? Like, what's happening for her? Again, be like really gentle and compassionate when you're answering. Like, be genuinely curious. Like, what is happening for you during this? And then like sex is creative. Sex is playful. Like, there's so many different ways to work around like preferences, right? Like nurturing something else that you both find super hot and really turns you on. Like,
so like, let's say he really loves getting head, but he really loves this girl. Just have an open conversation, try to figure out why or what it is that might be leading her to not like it, and see if you can work through that.
I wouldn't like say if she's saying no, then she's saying no. Like, exactly. We love consent and like mutual, right? And but I think it's important to be
curious.
Yeah, be curious and know that there's different ways to work around this. There's toys. There's like things to bring in that mimic like a similar sensation. Like, it's not the end of the world in a sense, right?
And maybe he hasn't even thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, what a lot of people, I think, probably stop at is like, oh, well, my partner won't do this, so we're never going to do this. It's like, no, there's other ways that you can have that fantasy, whatever it is. Another thing that someone asked me that I didn't have the chance to write down because they emailed it to me like a few days ago. But like, what if I like it a certain way, rough or whatever, and my partner likes it gentle and this? Like, how do we make our worlds collide if we don't want to have sex the same way?
I think that's dependent on the couple, but I mean, this comes like different preferences again. You probably want to, again, sex is a time to play, so you probably want to have that conversation on like, okay, when we're doing rough, right? Like, what boundaries, like what's yellow, what's red, what's green, like, where do the boundaries lie, and how, do they want it to look? How do you want it to look? How can you come to like a compromise on that? And like, when are you going to implement this type of sex, and when are you going to implement this type of sex, and like
making each other both happy.
Yeah. Conversations about it. Like, conversations.
And that's kind of what I'm getting from this whole conversation so far. We have so many questions left, but also like communication is such a benefit in your sex life and relationships in general. But like, because we're talking about sex today, in sex too, like just talking about it, like, okay, if you don't like it rough, what do you like about the sex that we've had and what don't you like, so that they can kind of have a conversation about it. Or just like if someone doesn't want to do something, okay, well, there's other options. So let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy this feeling,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't enjoy doing this. So what else can we do around it?
Yeah.
Communication.
Yeah. And it will like drastically improve your sex life.
Yeah, I bet. When they get soft halfway through, what does
Mm-hmm.
that mean? Do you keep trying or do you just stop?
Okay, I really want to normalize this because 1 in 4 men under the age of 40 have like erectile dysfunction, or it's happened to them,
Oh,
right? Like, well, it's happened to them at least once. So this
interesting.
happens. Also, it can happen like biologically
Yeah.
because like you're not as sensitive to testosterone anymore.
Isn't it
That
like when
makes
you're
sense.
drinking or you're on something, you could also not be able to get hard?
Oh, it can be so many things. It could be like stress. It could be like performance anxiety. This comes into like a pressure on performance. Maybe they're nervous. It's essentially like their nervous system isn't in gear to have sex, right? Like whether they're like thinking about other things, whether something hits their, okay, like zooming out, there's like a dual control model of arousal. Okay. So there's things that hit your accelerators.
Okay.
This is for men and women. Things that hit your accelerators: emotional closeness, connection, maybe something like you're just looking for sex stimuli and being like, this turns me on.
Or like someone looks like you're attracted to that certain thing.
Yeah. And then you get like aroused, your sex stimuli turns on, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Then there's a brake system. Okay. So a brake system can be, okay, the dog's barking, or I'm stressed, or I'm feeling emotionally disconnected. And
that draws you out of it.
Yeah, that draws you out of it. So like something could have hit their brake and could have drew them out of it, or something, could have dysregulated their nervous system at some point, maybe alcohol, and it could draw them out. So like it's really normal. And to ask them what they want. Like, do they want to stop? Do they not want to stop? In addition, I think if you are stopping, doing something connective after, like cuddling or still being connected, to like just give that reassurance, and also like positive reinforcement that like erection's just as important as you make it to be.
And I think a lot of girls, because I've had these conversations with like quite a few of my friends, just the fact of like, you blame yourself. Like you think, oh, couldn't get hard because of me, because of something I did.
Mm-mm.
But you're saying it's normally not the case.
Normally not the case. Yeah.
And I mean, it is kind of a shitty feeling for probably both sides. So understand that and don't make it feel even more comfortable with like pointing it out or this or that. You're saying just be comfortable and ask them and have that conversation.
Yeah. And there's a lot of different ways to have sex, right? Penetration is
isn't the only
way.
Interesting, because I feel like that's very common.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've experienced in my lifetime somebody that couldn't get hard the first few times because of anxiety. Like there was so much pressure on it, I guess.
Yeah.
And he openly told me that like the second time. But I think too, for men, it's hard to explain that or even know why it is at some point. So it's like, give each other grace.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, do other things.
Yeah. I think do other things is a good one.
Yeah. There you go. So fun.
Yeah.
And boy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this one was, I giggled when I wrote this
Mm-hmm.
one. I'm 6'7", and my girl is 5'3", and can't take it all, and I can't finish. Is it doomed?
This is I was just looking at like the, I think you with the height difference when I read this question.
No, like I pictured two people and I was like, what facts? That is so true. What do you do?
I think there's, again, like creativity is really important in this. I think specifically with her, perhaps she's in positions where she's controlling depth, right? Like she's on top where she can like have control over depth. So it's comfortable for her. But
then like, can't a guy feel that it's not all the way in?
I mean, I think it's dependent on like a lot of different things, but there's also different ways to finish, right? Like I wouldn't say it's doomed. Okay. I think there's like creativity that could be had.
They can finish, like that you're talking about.
I think like oral, I think again, toys. There's also these, like, I forget what they're called. I don't know. They're like buffers though that you can put on like during sex.
Really?
Yeah. And then so it like controls depth.
That's crazy that they've come up with it already.
Yeah.
Of course they have. Like there's something for every issue ever.
Yeah.
Because I always see, I mean, like NBA players normally have a lot shorter girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'm sure this is an issue that people run into all the time.
Yeah.
So you can't be doomed.
And like a lot of different things with different bodies, like, and there's a lot of ways to work around it.
Yeah.
A lot of like toys too can like implement that.
And a lot of people probably haven't. And people I find are scared, especially, I mean, if you live at home, you're obviously probably not going to want to order a toy or something to your home address in case your parents open it. But a lot of people are just in general, I think, scared to order toys, sex toys, anything.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
or walk into the store.
Yeah. I think, first of all, you can do hard things. You can do
Yeah,
it. but I think like now the like sexual wellness space, like they sell it at Indigo. They sell it at Sephora. I mean, validating that like of course it's going to be uncomfortable. It's a new experience.
Yeah.
You're walking into a new place. You have probably no idea what to expect.
Yeah.
There's like uncertainty. But I mean, if it's going to enhance your like sexual pleasure, then ground your nervous system, going with some friends.
Yeah, go
like,
with a buddy.
Yeah.
Go with a buddy. It's like when you have to buy like a pregnancy test or something and you're like, oh shit. Normally I Uber Eats that. I don't think you can Uber Eats a sex toy. But if that's the case, going with a buddy, that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I'd just be like, you know what, let's. But like online now, they're so discreet.
So
there's so many great places that
yeah.
have so much variety and that come in discreet packaging.
Yeah. I don't think they like put a lot of like heavy labels on it.
Yeah, and everyone has sex. Like it's crazy, and it's yes, I understand because I've never bought like a sex toy in store without my boyfriend, like when I had one. But I understand how it could be like not embarrassing, but like feel weird because like they know that you're buying this for sex. But at the same time, if you can work at a cashier place that they sell sex toys, they're doing the same thing that you're doing.
For sure.
So it's not, can we just normalize
that?
Like that's
totally.
We're all doing it.
And I feel like their sex like shops are popping up everywhere.
Yes.
So like,
oh my God, they're in every corner.
Go explore.
Yeah, do whatever you want. And just be like, oh, I was just taking a look. Like, who cares? Don't tell them. Throw it in your pocket. You don't need to show anyone what you got.
Yeah.
You need to do a haul.
Yeah.
Run on the street. Why am I so much hornier than my girlfriend?
Another really great question.
That happens a lot. No?
It does. I think 30 to 40% of women have a lower sex drive than their partner.
That's not that much. Like I would have thought it would have been 50% or more.
It can also look different in terms of, again, the accelerator brake system. Men could have like a higher accelerator, right? They can.
So it doesn't break as quick.
Yeah, so it doesn't break as quick, or they're really sensitive, like accelerator eyes. Like something could make them horny, like based on a small thing. So like they could always feel like the accelerator is being hit. But also, I want to talk about like spontaneous and responsive desire because men are more likely to have spontaneous desire.
What do you mean by that?
So what this means is, think of like they randomly like a lightning bolt hit them and they're like, I'm horny.
Yeah.
Okay, like the desire is there.
They don't have to see anything.
Yeah, it's like the desire arises spontaneously, essentially, but which is the healthy way to have desire. So it happens in anticipation, like, okay, they're excited about X, Y, Z, right? Women can also have this as a healthy way to feel like experience desire, but there's also responsive desire, which happens more so for women. And what that means is desire is happening in response to stimuli, right? So they're not like spontaneously like, okay, I want to have sex right now, but they're more so responding to like emotional closeness or skin to skin contact or stimulation
or something like that.
Some things like you need something to like get that desire moving. Exactly.
Okay. And that's more so for women?
More so for women.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense, I feel like. Now we're moving into many people have a hard time finishing. And this was a big one. We got a lot of these questions. So I just kind of bulked them into like, because I feel like a lot of them were around the same questions. Self-exploration and orgasms. A lot of girls were writing in, but some men too. A girl wrote in, because I remember this one, why can't I come or orgasm during sex? And she said, with my sneaky link, but like, let's just put it as, because other people kind of asked this question.
Yeah.
Why can't I come or orgasm during sex with my partner or with a person?
Well, this is really normal, and again, it could be because like maybe maybe the brakes are being hit in some kind of way, right? Maybe it's like self-talk, maybe like there's an awareness there. So acknowledging that orgasm is biopsychosocial, right? So like what's going on for you relationally to this person
in your head,
what's going on in your head, and like are you feeling pleasure in your body, and kind of the route that moves you to orgasm solo. So you can like communicate and relay this to a partner as well.
And do actions to like that were in favor for you to get there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot too, especially for me, is like mentally. Like you have to be mentally there and mentally in tune and focusing on it and not distracted and thinking about other things to even be able to get there.
Yeah, and orgasm isn't everything like in the sex, so it's like it's very common like not to orgasm, again focusing on like that pleasure and connection, but I think if you're like wanting to orgasm within the interaction, like definitely do solo work there to understand like how that works for you, and also just how your mind kind of gets there too, and then like implement that with
what turns you on, what do you like, what is it that could bring you, what did you say, the accelerator? Accelerate. So there was somebody else that said, because since we're talking about self-exploration, someone said tips and tricks for self-exploration while protecting your peace from shitty men, which is beautifully said. Like, props to you.
With self-exploration, so tips and tricks, I'm like curious about this question. How are you interpreting this question?
So I was interpreting it, I mean, tips and tricks for self-exploration. So like
tips, like how to
masturbating yourself.
Okay.
Also, why is it so okay, or like not okay, but why is it so normal for men to talk about masturbating and girls it's like less socially okay?
I think like sex is really political in that way. Like the women are told not to.
They can't.
Their bodies were pleased, and like what type of sex they shouldn't have, and like what was appropriate and not appropriate.
Stem from other things. But we're getting there. Okay, we're getting there.
Okay.
We're two females talking.
But for self-exploration, I think bringing toys in, like I think that is important. I think doing it mindfully too, like really connecting not just to the vulva, but like to different areas on your body. And like setting the scene nicely, like just getting candles, like really, really connecting to yourself.
And what makes you comfortable too? Is it just like what pleasures you? Because I know you said before being comfortable is a big part of being able to get there. So is that it too? Like put yourself in a spot that you feel comfortable.
Put yourself in a spot that you feel comfortable. Understand what that is too. Get curious about like what makes me feel comfortable. Get curious about like what type of touch you like, what type of pressure you like, what type of toys you like, what type of pacing you like all of it. And a good resource for this is Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski. It's a book, but it talks about, it like guides you through.
Come As You Are, that's perfect.
It's so good. It's such a good book, but it's like such a good resource to look at like self-exploration and really understand like female sexual response. And it's like information that's not talked about or out there. So like,
oh really?
It's like such a digestible, like fun book too, that's like you can dive into.
There's a lot of like pleasure books out now too, I feel like, especially that women are reading.
Thank God.
Which is great. Because I mean, if it's not normal for us to talk about all the time, then might as well read it. I don't read. Audible.
Audible. Whatever.
Okay, if you've never been able to finish in your life, solo or not, I'm in my 20s, what's my next steps? Is that kind of what we touched on in this exploration?
I think like self-exploration is really good. And then I also want to bring in, there's a lot of information out there on like pelvic floor, like either like tightness or weakness. So like,
I've seen TikToks about that.
So maybe go to a sex therapist, right? If you're like really curious about it, or like a pelvic floor physiotherapist, and really like understand like how you're breathing through orgasm, or like how you're breathing in like self masturbation. Just like understand a little bit more about it.
I feel like in that case, it's probably the best idea is to go to sex therapy because you probably have ways in which or questions that you ask that put them into a different headspace to understand it differently.
Yeah. This like comes in really often about orgasm and like self-exploration and
I'm
pleasure.
Sure. I mean, we got so many questions about it too. Like, and also sex therapy, I don't think is that big of a thing. Like people don't, if they do it, they don't talk about it as much. So I kind of like that we're moving into the direction of being like, no, like that easily could be solved with sex therapy.
Yeah. I love that. I love that too. It's such a good resource.
Literally,
it really is.
I go to therapy every Monday. Maybe I should switch a Monday, you know?
Yeah.
As easy as that. Last one for orgasms. I only orgasm with a vibrator. Ideally would be able to without it. I need advice.
So like love vibrators.
Yeah.
Love that you're orgasming with vibrators. Without a vibrator, the reason why this is happening probably is because your body knows how to orgasm with a vibrator. So it's like creating, it like holds this muscle memory and knowledge.
Okay.
So what you want to do is slowly integrate maybe your hands to this, right? So maybe you want to take steps away from it, but don't get rid of it completely yet. Like do it slowly. Like maybe you are finishing with your hands, but you're using the vibrator to get there, or you are using the vibrator on like the lowest setting and like figuring out movements that work, but you don't want to, I mean, you can take it away completely and like just work with your hands and like explore, but figure it out. But
and in like if she wanted to incorporate it in the bedroom, I feel like that's an awkward conversation too. How do you talk about that? Like what would you say?
I mean, I think that it could be an awkward conversation, but it's an important conversation, right? Because you want to have pleasure.
If she wants to orgasm and it's with a vibrator and she wants to get into that, let's say never been able to without it. So let's say she's in a relationship, or let's say she's talking to someone and hooking up with someone or having sex with someone. Yeah. She could just say we should
bring it in. Let's experiment with it. Let's bring it in. How do you feel if I bring this in? This is important for me to like have pleasure. I come to orgasm with like clitoral stimulation. Like this is.
How would you feel if I brought a vibrator in?
Yeah.
That's probably how I'd go about it. Okay. But like, honestly, it's crazy though, because even in my group chats and things that I've overheard, or like on TV shows, they talk about how, you know, girls, it's harder to orgasm than men.
Yeah.
And I think it's just kind of like a known fact. So it really is like figure it out on how maybe yourself and what you like and what you don't like. And then even like easily incorporate it. And it is tough. So it's not like don't blame yourself. Like you're in your 20s.
Oh yeah.
Like you got your
I don't know anyone else around me who like doesn't bring a vibrator into the bedroom because they need it. Like it's important, you know. But I mean, if you don't want it, then if you're like, okay, no,
I want to try it,
yeah,
then do it. And there's no shame in that. Like I think a lot of men would probably think it's hot if a girl brings that in.
Yeah, well, pleasure's hot.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So see how that goes. Keep us updated. Birth control. So this is big. I'm on birth control. I think birth control really lowered my sex drive, and now I'm trying to find it again. Advice?
I mean, I think like during a hormone transition, be gentle with yourself. Like just allow it to happen.
Especially if she's just starting to take it.
Exactly. Like talk to your doctor. Let the transition happen. Be gentle with yourself. You know what? If you're not feeling accelerators, you're not feeling accelerators right now. If you want to take steps back to increase your libido, then so sex drive, like there's this common misconception that sex is just like a natural drive within people, but it's not. It changes over like different contexts, and it's essentially like a motivation system. So an incentivized motivation system. So what that means is you like don't need sex to survive, right? Okay. But you sometimes in your relationship, right? The motivation is connection and curiosity. So your sex drive is going to be a lot higher because the motivation is there, right? When you have kids or like there's a big life transition, your motivation is probably let's keep this new baby alive, right? So it's going to
priorities are shifting.
Yeah, priorities are shifting. So I think understanding why you want to reconnect to your body is just powerful and enough. Like why is that important? Do you want to feel connected to your partner? Do you want to feel connected to yourself in a sexual way, like understanding the motivation behind it and then prioritizing it. So like just creating like time and space for it gently and compassionately.
Making it a priority.
Yeah.
Maybe even like journaling about, you know, what are you feeling about it then and why and what could stem from that, or seeing a sex therapist.
Seeing a sex therapist and talking about it too. The more you talk about it, the more you're going to want to, like, you're going to be curious about it, increasing motivation.
Or like talk to your friends. Like, I'm sure a lot of people even around you, a lot of people are on birth control now.
Yeah.
So or have been on it, got off of it, whatever. So have experienced probably a similar or completely not similar thing to you, and might even have just tips as to what they would do if they were in that situation.
Yeah.
Relationships and importance of the conversation of sex within the relationship. How important is telling your partner your fantasies?
It's important in the context of it will improve, it like oftentimes improves relationship satisfaction and sexual satisfaction.
That's what I would have thought, yeah.
So like letting someone see your inner world and like acceptance and vulnerability, like that's really difficult to do sometimes, but
oh, for sure,
it can be like really powerful. It can make you feel really close to your partner and also honor just like you as a person. But if you want to talk about fantasies, talking about the conversation doesn't need to be this like, here's my fantasy, this is what I want. It can like go slowly into it, talk about the different things you're into, maybe reference like books or things that like you know you're curious about.
Maybe. Yeah. And I like that you said that it doesn't have to be like, okay, these are my fantasies, BCD. Like, it doesn't have to be like schoolwork or clockwork. It can literally be like a here and there, or something happens and you're like, oh, that was so hot. Like, I love that. We should try that sometime. You know what I mean? Exactly. Like, I like how you kind of put it in a sense of, don't feel like you need to say everything right away. Give a little, see what comes back, and go from there.
Yeah.
No pressure. How soon in the talking stage is it appropriate to talk about sex and sexual things? This is probably different for everyone.
Yeah, it's no, like, no, there's no rule for this. As soon as you're curious about it and it's consensual.
And then see how they respond.
Yeah.
I like to give a little and see how someone responds, because then you're not stepping on any boundaries. You're not going too far and someone's like, whoa, you know, like, it's test the waters and see how it is.
Yeah.
Is it weird to use toys in the bedroom with my girlfriend? Well, we've tackled that. Absolutely not. Bring it for her. Go get a new thing for her. How do I talk to my partner about having our sex life without making it awkward?
Okay, no, I zoned out there. You gotta ask that again.
Sorry. How do I talk to my partner about our sex life without making it awkward? So kind of, I think we've touched on a bit of this, but like
you can talk about broad things. Like, talk about the time where you had amazing sex, right? Like, bring sex into the conversation casually, and then like take it from there. Like, just sprinkle it in.
We need to talk.
Yeah.
More of a, I loved it when.
Yeah, I loved it when we had sex like this. You know, I've been craving
I've been thinking about it.
Yeah, whatever it is, go slowly.
Last question on relationships. How can we keep the spark alive in a long-term relationship? So let's say like 5 years.
So what that entails, like research shows, is you're going to have a strong friendship.
Right.
So like you keep a strong friendship, you're playful, you like trust each other, the communication is there. You're prioritizing it.
Yeah.
So you're creating space for it, and those priorities can shift, but like you're always coming back to it and prioritizing it. And then you also are able to come into sex with your own individual scripts, right? There's no like there's no like scripted idea of what sex should be. You're really talking about and understanding what sex means to you both individually and how to come together in it.
And I feel like it's important to obviously please your partner, but again, like, make sure that you're getting what you want out of it too. Like, I mean, I just say a lot of women because that's just my friend groups and things, but I think a lot of the times women forget to prioritize themselves and their needs and just try to put on a full-blown show.
Yeah.
But some people get turned on in that way of just like pleasing other people and don't even need it for themselves. But
yeah, I would say like if you're into like the performance, you're into that's like kind of a kink,
girl.
like, you know. But like focusing on pleasure too, because pleasure's again, like pleasure will move you to desire.
And it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
And it's so normal to be different for
Totally.
everybody. And I think learning experience for everything.
Yeah.
One questioning about parenting that someone wrote in.
Mm-hmm.
Advice for parents of young kids and to reapproach their sex life after neglecting it. Which I didn't really get that question. Did you understand that?
Well, I think with
After neglecting it, what does that mean?
like maybe they like haven't prioritized it within the relationship.
Oh, like
right?
they haven't talked about it with their children.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, not with their children. I think what I'm reading is they haven't like they've neglected their sex life like between them.
That
they
makes
haven't
so much
talked
more
about.
sense. Absolutely. Yeah. Okay.
I think what is important in this is to like slowly reintroduce like the prioritization of sex, right? And maybe you're not prioritizing sex, maybe you're prioritizing intimacy, maybe you're prioritizing to take the pressure off of like sex itself, like maybe you're prioritizing.
Yeah, give an example.
Yeah, we're in bed, right? You're setting up the accelerators, we're in bed, children are asleep, and we are just like connecting, we're just like chatting, we are touching, we are kissing, like it's just like an intimate time where it could like open the door to sex. Yeah, but you don't need to like we're having sex tonight. But scheduled sex is actually really, really helpful.
Really? I feel like I wouldn't want to do it if I'm like, oh, clock hit 7, let's go. Like I feel like I wouldn't be down for that.
But I think there's like an idea that it takes away spontaneity, but there's like when you're first dating, right? You're like taking a full body shower.
Yeah, you're doing it.
You're like cleaning your like room, like whatever it is. So it's not truly spontaneous, right? Like you're kind of planning.
True. Yeah, I guess. And then you can still do those things if you know it's 7. I guess it's just like you have to be comfortable with doing it your way, whether it is okay at this time I'm gonna surprise him or we're gonna pretend, or like maybe you can even say, okay, you're in charge of this one or whatever it may be. Like that's kind of fun too.
Yeah, you have to reconnect to like the things that really made you feel like empowered and connected originally, because those are your accelerators, those are the things that like pull you towards it.
And we all have different accelerators.
Yeah.
And you just got to figure it out through communication, time, slowliness. So do you have any other questions for me, or something that, a lot of people come into session and ask you about that we didn't touch on? For anything that came up for you that you're like, oh, wait, people are probably going to want to know this.
No, I feel like
we did hit a lot. And in a session, take me through kind of like how long is a session? Is it like one topic you're covering per session? Do people normally like, okay, I want to do it every week, every other week, bi-weekly? What is it? What's it normally like?
So
for people considering it?
Individual couples therapy and sex therapy. A lot of people who do sex therapy also just do individual therapy. So, I mean, if you're looking for both individual therapy and sex therapy, you can do that. And then you can kind of teeter, right? Okay, this is like an individual thing I want to focus on. Here's like a sex therapy thing I want to focus on. Sessions are usually 50 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
And a lot of sex therapy is like prompting questions to maybe look at like historically what's like worked for you, what hasn't. And then
like your past.
Exactly. And like connection to self, how to ground, and then also just a lot of psychoeducation that's just not out there, right? It's just not talked about.
Not talked about, or uncomfortable to talk about, what people think is uncomfortable to talk about.
Yeah.
Right. Well, that was fun. We answered so many questions. There's so many more that we could have answered, but we might need a part 2. So if you guys enjoyed it, let me know. Where can they find you if they're looking for booking an appointment to see more about you? Give them a little spiel as to where they can find you.
So I work virtually in Ontario. I have a private practice. It's called Mindful Pleasures Therapy, and I have a wonderful team of women who work around me, providing individual therapy, sex therapy, couples therapy. I also own a wellness clinic, a virtual wellness clinic that focuses on women's health, particularly with like naturopath and nutritionists and, different things, kind of a holistic mind, body, soul thing.
So show her some love, book your appointments, make this conversation not weird, uncomfortable, open it up, and be patient with yourselves. I love you guys, and show some love to her. Tell me if you want me to have her back on again, or if you want a part 2, if you have more questions, email me. like, subscribe, and I will see you next Thursday.